Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something a little different. And, we talk a lot about, different types of data, different ways of, visualizing things,
Right.
different trends,
Mm-hmm.
But today we have this document that was sent to us.
Okay.
And it's called this.pdf.
This.pdf. Right?
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm a little bit at a loss as to
Okay.
how to even describe this, because it's really unlike anything I've ever seen before.
So I'm looking at this right now, and
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of A,
Yeah, just page after page
like the letter A,
of just the letter A.
just the lowercase a.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just goes on and on and on, and you think
Right.
like, okay, at some point this has got to change.
Right.
There's got to be.
Yeah, there's got to be something else in here.
Yeah, something else. There's got to be some,
Uh-huh.
some kind of hidden message or something like that. But
Right.
no, it's just AS.
So tell me this, I've always been fascinated by, like, data visualization.
Right.
Would you consider this to be, like, an extreme form of data minimalism, or is this even data?
I don't even know if it qualifies as data. I mean, I think, data usually implies that there's some kind of
Right.
information there.
Structure.
Yeah, some kind of structure to it, some way
That's the
of.
takeaway.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of this.
So it's kind of like a challenge to our definition of what data is.
Yeah, I think so, because
Right.
it's like it's giving us something, but it's not really giving us anything at the same time.
It's interesting, though, because there's this simplicity to it that's just kind of, like, intriguing.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, it's daring us to find meaning in it.
yeah, there's this part of me that feels like it's a joke.
Yeah.
Like somebody is just messing with us.
Right.
But then there's this other part of me that thinks, oh, well, maybe there is something here. Maybe we're just not seeing it.
I think that, like, that makes me feel a little uneasy, actually.
Yeah.
It's like this void,
Yeah.
and there's nothing for us to grab onto to try to make sense of it.
Yeah, it's forcing us to, like, really confront, like, what is
Yeah.
meaning,
Or what is meaning?
Yeah, because if you strip away all the context, if you strip away all the
Right.
usual cues that we use to interpret things, then what are we left with?
Maybe a blank slate or
A mirror.
a mirror.
Yeah, think about it. We bring all of our own baggage to
Right.
everything that we encounter.
Right.
And this is just this simple document.
Yeah.
And it's just reflecting that back at us.
So you're saying that the meaning isn't necessarily in the document itself, but it's in how we're choosing to interpret it.
Exactly. It's like a Rorschach test for data.
Wow. So we've got this document. It's full of AS.
Yep.
And it's already making us question, the very nature of data,
Yeah.
the nature of meaning.
Right. How we interpret things. But I'm curious, given your background in semiotics,
Sure.
what do you make of the choice of A specifically? Why not B? Why not Z?
Well, A is the first letter of the alphabet.
Right.
It's kind of like the foundation
Yeah.
for every other letter.
The starting point.
Yeah. And so, in a way, this document is like
Okay.
taking us back to that origin.
Yeah. Great.
Stripping away all the complexity of language to get back to that one basic element. Yeah, it's like a primal utterance.
Interesting. And so you're saying it's not even really about minimalism then? It's about, like, going all the way back to, like,
Yeah.
the very building blocks
For
of
beginning.
yeah, of how
It's
we
communicate, how we
yeah.
create meaning.
Wow.
And doing so, it forces us to confront, like, the arbitrariness
Okay.
of language itself.
Yeah.
Like, why is A
Right.
on? Why does it make that sound?
Well, because that's what we all decided, right?
Exactly.
So that's for
It's a social construct.
the convention.
Yeah, and this document is just
Right.
highlighting that,
It's like taking away all the assumptions that we had
all the assumptions.
and saying, hey,
Yeah,
look at how this actually works.
right,
Okay, so we've got minimalism, we've got semiotics, we've got
right.
the philosophy of language being deconstructed here. But let's bring it back to your world for a second.
Sure.
You spend a lot of time thinking about data visualization.
I do.
Could there be like a visual interpretation of this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think this is a great opportunity to explore that.
Okay.
Imagine, like, each A represents a pixel
Okay.
on a screen.
So what would we be looking at then?
Well, it depends on the resolution, of course, but you
Yeah.
can end up with, like, this big block of color,
Okay.
like just this vast expanse of uniformity.
Just a sea of pixels.
Yeah, but you could also play with the spacing
Okay.
and the arrangement. And you could create some interesting patterns.
Okay.
Like a digital texture.
So even though the data itself is incredibly simple,
Right.
we could add complexity visually.
Absolutely. And I think that's an important point about visualization.
Okay.
It's not just about presenting information.
Right.
It's about transforming it into something that can be perceived,
Okay.
understood, and even appreciated
Interesting.
on an aesthetic level.
So we started with a document full of A's, and we're talking about philosophy, the nature of data visualization.
Right.
We've even touched on, artistic expression.
Yeah, it's amazing what a simple thing can do.
Yeah, but I have to ask,
Yeah.
what if this really is just a glitch?
Okay.
What if there's no deeper meaning here at all?
That's a good question. And even if it is,
Right.
it's still interesting to think about why we try to find meaning,
Right.
even in patterns that are random or accidental.
It's like we're hardwired to make connections,
Yeah.
to try to find order in chaos.
It's a basic human instinct.
Right.
And it brings us back to the idea of this document as a mirror.
Okay.
It's reflecting our own need for meaning, our own need for understanding.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that even if we never figure out what this is, just the act of thinking about it has been valuable.
I agree.
It's made us think differently about things.
It's a good exercise.
Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap up, I had one more thought.
Okay.
You mentioned that A is significant because it's the first letter of the alphabet.
Right, the foundation of language.
But what if we think about it more broadly?
Okay.
A isn't just the first letter of the English alphabet.
Right.
It's the first letter in many alphabets around the world.
That's true.
So maybe this document isn't tied to any particular language or culture, but it's speaking to something more universal.
Like what?
Like the fundamental human desire to communicate.
Okay.
To express ourselves regardless of the symbols that we use. It's like this document is saying, hey, look, we can all agree on this one thing at least.
Right, at the most basic level.
Yeah. So much for a simple document full of A's, huh?
Right, who knew?
We've gone from data visualization to semiotics to the meaning of life, basically.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, well, it's been a fascinating conversation, I think.
It has.
It's really made me think differently about how we interpret things.
Me too.
So for everyone listening out there, what do you see in this .pdf?
Yeah, what do you make of all those A's?
What meaning do you find in all that repetition?
There's no right or wrong answer here, just different perspectives.
And hey, maybe someday we'll actually figure out what this document is all about.
Maybe.
But until then, I think the journey has been worth it.
Absolutely.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.